Kia ora New Zealand, good afternoon and welcome to this TV1 special which is all about helping you get your finances sorted. COVID-19, a global pandemic that we watched unfold on the news, and before we knew it, we too were in lockdown at home. Businesses were shut, many of our livelihoods were threatened. It was a shock to me, a shock to my friends and family, and of course for all of you at home, this last 6 weeks have been life-changing. It's also brought confusion and concern over what to do next. Who knows what the new normal will be in 12 months from here? So right now, come on, just stop for a second, join me, take a breath. Now, while you're doing this, grab a pen and paper because together we are going to find a way forward with some help from the expert team at Sorted. Now, I want you to meet a friend of mine. Unisha Veer is a financial mentor from Sorted. She joins me now. Welcome, Unisha. How are you?
Kia ora, Hayden. I'm good, thank you.
Now, what is Sorted? I seem to remember something about a mouse.
I'm glad you remember the mouse. He's pretty good, isn't he?
Yeah.
So Sorted does have the mouse, and you may have seen him back on TV at the moment. But Sorted's also a website which has some fantastic tools and calculators and guides, all designed with Kiwis in mind. And it's free, independent and impartial. So go along and check it out. It's a great resource.
Alrighty. Who runs it? You're not trying to sell me some steak knives or something at the end of this, are you?
No steak knives, no Stairmasters or anything like that, no. So Sorted is the public face of the Commission for Financial Capability. So that's a government agency, a non-government agency there, but Sorted is the one that you'll be most familiar with.
All right, so I take it your interest is helping us get our finances in tip-top shape.
That's what we all want to do in Sorted. So my background is I'm a CA, but for the last 10 years I've been working in the area of personal finance, so as a financial mentor and as a facilitator, which is where my involvement with Sorted lies pretty much. So I'm part of a team of facilitators who travel up and down the country to deliver workshops, seminars and now webinars to communities and workplaces around New Zealand. It's fantastic. I mean, my heart is to see New Zealanders just to get their personal finances sorted so they can have a better future, more secure.
All right, you sound pretty good. I think we're going to use you over the next half hour because we're going to talk about several topics that involve things that you can do right now to help with your finances. Now, we're also live on the One News Facebook page, and you can ask any questions you have. Just get over there or onto the Facebook page, or you can email us, mymoney@tvnz.co.nz. We're going to try our absolute best to answer as many as we can. So let's get into it. Unisha, the first topic is fear, which is all around us at the moment. How does fear influence our financial decisions?
Well, when it comes to emotional situations and fear is at top of mind, we don't always make the best financial decisions. So some of those first things we jump to are not necessarily the best things we can do. But the first thing we can do is just stop, pause, like you said earlier, and just avoid making decisions based on fear. We'll get through this together. There's no need to panic. We're all in it. So we just pause. We take the time to gather the information that we need, understand that information, and when we don't understand it, finding the time to seek people who can help us to understand it. And that's really one of the first things that we can do to avoid making decisions based on fear. Seeing a lot of people being proactive as well, and so they are getting out and about and making sure that they reduce their own anxiety. So seeing people walking around and riding their bikes, baking, cooking, making sourdough. Anybody?
I'm with you on the sourdough. So you're saying that... Oh, I'm with you on the sourdough, definitely. So you're saying that you need to kind of get yourself sorted before you can tackle your finances.
Absolutely. It's about getting yourself into that right frame of mind first. So just reducing that anxiety by doing the simple things in life, getting out and about, playing a board game with the kids, getting on the floor and playing a game, quiz nights, all that sort of stuff. It's really important to reduce that anxiety to start off with, because when we take the time to reflect on those things and enjoy them, we realize that those are the things that we're grateful for. Those are the things that we truly value. And sometimes it's more than money.
I've got to say, a couple of weeks ago, I was probably in that space, like COVID had just hit. I was worried about, keeping my job, feeding my family. And immediately I thought, I've really got to get into my bank accounts and see where they are at. Well, what am I spending? And also, what am I, my super, do I need to change that? Is there some basic mistakes that people make in this kind of time of panic?
Well, that's just it. It's getting straight in there and making a quick decision, and that's where people can really run into trouble. So it's taking that time to really get to grips, for example, with KiwiSaver and understanding what that really is about. So understanding that KiwiSaver is not a savings account for a start. So just gathering that information. In fact, we kind of describe KiwiSaver a bit like a roller coaster at the moment. It's going up and down, and getting off in the middle of the ride is not really advisable. So, KiwiSaver is an investment account, which means that it's made up out of 4 different types of investments. You've got cash, bonds, property, and shares. So pretty much our eggs are not in one basket, they're already spread across. So that's an important thing to understand in terms of KiwiSaver and why it's reacting the way that it is. So your eggs are spread across the basket. In fact, so that can be quite a very comforting thing to know that you're not in one area, you're not completely exposed to risk there.
I'm glad you brought up KiwiSaver because that's the thing we're going to look at right now.
Absolutely.
So I want to talk about my mother, Unisha. She's retired, and as soon as COVID hit and the share market started going, I was on the phone to her and I'm saying, what is happening with your Kiwi changer? Do you need to change it to a conservative rating? I feel like now, after just talking to you for 5 minutes, I've made a mistake.
It's okay. If that's what you've done, that's what you've done. And you just have to stick with it for the moment and ride it out. A lot of people who are in retirement, if they've set their KiwiSaver up properly already and been proactive with it with their provider, then they'll already have a good portion of their KiwiSaver in a conservative account. So that's mainly your cash and your bonds. So it won't have moved too much. Remember, KiwiSaver, so retirement could be 20 to 30 years. So that's a long time to be in retirement, and it's also a long time for your funds to recover once it gets to that point. So reassure your mum that there is time, and while a good portion of her KiwiSaver may have been affected, there is time for it to recover and bounce back up again. And we're already seeing some of those bounces already. I know I've seen it in my account, which has been quite good because it dropped for a little bit there.
Yeah, look, we all got a case of the sweats, didn't we, when it started dropping. I get the feeling from you that you shouldn't be checking your KiwiSaver that much.
No, ideally not. In fact, I avoided checking my KiwiSaver for quite a while once the COVID situation hit because I thought, I don't want to know. Not at the moment. I know that I've set my KiwiSaver up for a goal. I have a long-term plan and I was actively involved with checking that. So I made a choice about what fund I wanted, what provider I wanted based on my ethics and my values. And so I had to trust that plan. So eventually, once I started taking these webinars, I thought, I probably do need to check what's going on so I can inform people and be that voice of calm as well. And it dropped. But it wasn't the first time my KiwiSaver's dropped. It's dropped in the past and it's recovered. And it's already starting to recover now. So for me, I know what my risk profile is. And if you don't know what your risk profile is or even what that means, then the Sorted website has some great resources that you can pop onto and just see, how do you feel about risk? If you feel like you have to check your KiwiSaver all the time, then maybe you need to adjust your risk profile and just make your funds reflect that as well. If you're a bit more comfortable and relaxed, then that's fantastic. But there are different profiles and there's no one right one. I can't tell you which is best for you, only you can work that one out for yourself. There are 28 different fund providers, did you know?
Wow, I didn't know. There's a lot I'm going to learn, I think, in the next 20 odd minutes. Hey, Unisha, are you saying that your risk profile should match your actual personality or your financial circumstances, or a bit of both?
It's a little bit of both. So when you look at the risk profile, you have defensive, conservative, balanced growth, and aggressive. And a lot of people would go, oh, I'm not an aggressive person, but it's nothing to do with your personality. It's just how you react around risk and around the ups and downs, how comfortable you are with that. So yeah, it kind of reflects your personality. But I mean, I'm an accountant. And so my personality, I'm a little bit more conservative by nature. But my risk profile doesn't have to match that. I might have the head to know the knowledge and be okay with the risk, or it might be the other way around. Not a problem. But it's good to go on and have a look at the Sorted website and just see what your profile is and have a go. It's a very simple quiz to tick your way through, and there's a lot of information on there.
All right, might do it tonight, might take you up. Hey, just before we go, the takeaway message, don't rush into making KiwiSaver decisions.
Don't rush into it. Understand what your KiwiSaver is and why it's doing what it's doing. So with the ups and downs, it's really important to understand that your units, so the units of your KiwiSaver are still the same. It's the value that's changed. And so as the economy starts to recover, those units will start to recover in value as well. So the units are still there. You haven't lost anything in that respect. It's just the value. It's a little bit like our houses. So our value of our house goes up and down, but it only matters when you come to sell it. So in that same respect, don't be too quick to switch, because that's when you'll start to realize the loss. The loss only becomes real when you switch.
All right, very good. Stay loyal. Okay, on to the next topic.
Stay loyal.
Unisha, money plans. Sound like a budget, which sounds like a diet, which, look, I'm not keen on any of those.
No, I'm not keen on the word budget either. It's quite a restrictive word, really, isn't it? I mean, you think of budget products and they're not necessarily the best things that we want. We want luxury, right?
Yeah, well, look, it'll be good. All the time would be great, but not all of us can afford the yachts and the fancy cheeses.
Oh, I like fancy cheese. But the thing is, when it comes to a money plan, when it comes to a budget, you can also just change the word of it. Call it a money plan or a spending plan, because we all like to spend our money, but we want to plan where we want it to go. So a budget implies restriction, whereas a spending plan implies that you're in control. It says, I'm deciding where I want my money to go. And so it goes to where it's important to you. So it's just a little subtle switch of the mind, really.
Okay, now, budget / money plan. Should I go back? Because my first thought would be I need to go back through my bank statements and kind of categorise and get my highlighter out and kind of figure out where my money has been going. Is that relevant now?
Oh, I think it's still relevant. Things have changed a little bit, but there's no harm in going back and with a highlighter. I'm just looking, I've got highlighters on my table here as well. I love getting the highlighter out and marking things down. But so you can go back, but things have changed. And to be honest, this situation means that it's a chance for us to reset and to think, that's what I did, but is that what I still want to do? So you think about some of the things that you're not doing anymore. So some of the things that we used to do, our habits that we liked, our wants versus needs. So coffee, for example, how much have we saved there?
Yeah, lots,
or takeaway.
Lots. Yeah, love my takeaways.
Exactly. So this is a chance to reset and think, what do we want to do? I don't want to say new normal, because that's what everybody's saying at the moment, but what's our new normal? Because now's your chance to decide. So you can create a money plan. You can create a spending plan, and the Sorted website has a fantastic tool that you can use. It's easily adaptable. It talks in very simple terms, and you can choose the pay rates that work for you. So if you pay something monthly, put it in monthly. If you pay something weekly, you can put it in weekly. Even better, it gives you lots of prompts. So if you're not sure what to put in a spending plan, then the Sorted budget, Sorted plan there tells you. It gives you some ideas. But as a key idea, the first thing you put in is your income, because that's a really important starting place, knowing what money is coming in. It doesn't matter how much, it's about what is coming in, because from there you plan where you want it to go. So food, shelter, warmth, transport, 4 real key things to start off with. And then it's those other needs, those other things that we have to put in there as well. The things we have to before the things we want to, right?
Yeah, okay. If there's any spare money left over, ideally, what percentage should we be saving?
Well, at the moment, it might be a little tricky to start saving and putting aside money, and it's really important to do that. So after you've put in all your needs and everything that you have to cover off, put aside some money for a slush fund or an emergency fund, a rainy day account. It could be as little as $5 a week, $10 a week, or $50 a week, whatever it looks like for you, and start building it up. $1,000 is a really good place to start. Even $500 is better than nothing, because it's all about putting that money aside in case you need it, because we don't know what's ahead in that way. But I know for me and my family, we worked out how much we are not spending on takeaway, for example, going to the mall on a Sunday lunch. My husband was quite surprised, and it was like he had a light bulb moment, which was really nice, because I have been trying to tell him this for a number of years, but he needed to experience it for himself. So there's 4 of us in our family, and if we all get a packet of sushi each,
yes, good, I'm
then
with
that's
you.
an $80. Yeah, not to mention the coffee and the bubble tea, which kind of has to go along with that, right? But that's over a year, $2,000.
Wow.
What
Yeah.
is $2,000 for you? $2,000 for me is a trip to Australia and back. Nice. A
Yeah.
very nice trip.
I'd
So
take
it's a
that over.
chance to really think about it.
Yes, I'd definitely take that over a packet of sushi and a bubble tea, although it can be very good on a Sunday afternoon. So maybe we can knock those kind of wants down to maybe monthly rather than every Sunday. Thank you so much. We're going to look now
Absolutely.
at our next sting. Right, exploring all of your options. What do you mean by that?
In terms of debt, so before we take on any debt, or we look at taking on a loan or anything like that, we consider what all our options are. Hopefully we might already have an emergency fund set up, but maybe we didn't. And that's okay, because now we can start to get that sorted now that we've talked about it already. So if we don't have an emergency fund, we start to think about places that we might go to borrow money, especially when things get tight. And so it's really important not to run to the first thing or the easiest thing or the loudest thing that you hear or see on TV, and just consider what the different options are. The payday loans and the KiwiSaver withdrawal might be the first things that come to mind, and we hear about them a lot. We've just talked about the KiwiSaver withdrawal, for example, but they may not be the best option for your situation. The COVID-19 website, it points to a few different options as well. It talks about a temporary bank loan or a mortgage holiday or debt consolidation. And these are things that we can consider, but they're not cost-free. So there is always a cost attached to these things, and it's understanding what those costs are and what they mean to us both in the short term and in the long term.
I want to explore the term mortgage holiday, because a holiday sounds terrific in any form.
It does. Unfortunately, this is not the best kind of holiday. It does provide some temporary relief, and for some people, that's what they'll need right now. Is they'll need a bit of a break to cover the other expenses. And if that's what you need to do, that's what you need to do. But it does have a long-term effect, because you're not paying anything on the interest, you're not paying anything on the mortgage anymore, which means that it's growing over time and it will take you longer to pay off. So an option might be to pay the interest only on that mortgage. So at least you're tackling the growth part, although the rest of the mortgage will still be there waiting for you at the end. So it's not really a holiday, it's more of a relief, a suspension of payment, but it is an option. Just be aware that there's a cost involved.
Okay. What's your policy on consolidating loans? So, I've got the fridge, I've got the TV, I've got the car, and a couple of things all on hire purchase. Should I just bundle them all up into one loan?
Yeah, so that's something that some people do consider as well. I've talked to many people as a financial mentor who want to consolidate their loans, and it does depend on what your situation is. Much like the mortgage holiday, if it's about that immediate payment, if you need a smaller amount now, then sometimes a debt consolidation can help with that. But over the long term, because you're taking those three different loans, so those three different hire purchases, and rolling them effectively into one, and then spreading it out again over maybe a longer period of time, say 5 years, it means that you're paying interest over 5 years. It's going to cost you more in the long run. But it depends on what's more important for you right now. Is it the short-term payment or is it the long-term cost? So if you're not really sure of what the difference is between the short-term payment and the long-term cost, then the Sorted website has a couple of really good debt calculators you can use. One that is targeted towards debt, and it talks about credit cards, hire purchases, personal loans, and then another calculator for mortgages as well. So you can play around and just see what that cost is.
All right, do your research. Marion has emailed in. She's got a lot of different insurance policies, as we all do. She's wondering if she should lose one in these times. She's got, either house, car, medical, contents, and life insurance. Is there any that are kind of less important to save a bit of coin?
So I live in Christchurch, and you're talking to me about insurances.
Yes,
Fantastic.
I know. Sorry, bad taste.
Bad taste. The thing when it comes to insurance is it's a rainy day thing that we don't want to have to use, but sometimes we need it. For example, when we're in Christchurch. So just to get rid of insurance is always a tough call to make. I'd say this is a time to review your insurance and check that your cover is right for you. But in terms of what's important, well, I don't know what's important to you or to Marion. Is health more important than your life insurance? I can't make that judgment call. But what you can do is go and research it, see what your cover is. Make sure you're not doubling up. So make sure you're not paying for two lots of contents insurance. A common one with that would be your cell phone. requires you to have insurance, but it may be covered under your contents insurance.
Yes.
So just being aware of double ups. So if you've got the time, go through and read your policies.
For a bloke who loses his cell phone every 5 minutes, I hear what you're saying. This is really good. I hope we could help there, Marion. Right, we're going to move on to the next topic. I don't think I want to talk to my lender. It's the last thing I want to do. Who wants to go and talk to their bank, especially if, if you're in trouble, there's a bit of shame about being in trouble. I don't really want to wander down to the bank and let them know that, things are tight.
I know, but remember the people at the bank are just people too, and they deal with these situations all the time. It might be new to you, but it's not new news to them. They've seen it before. And as a financial mentor as well, I can tell you that most banks or most people who lend out money, they just want to have their money back, and they would rather have the conversation with you sooner rather than later. That being said, if you've missed a payment, still don't be scared to go and talk to your lender, because they would rather know. They already know you've missed your payment. So just talk to them. You'll be surprised at how willing they are to help. There is the Responsible Lending Code, which gives some guidelines to how lenders are meant to treat us. And it sets out that they treat us with respect. And so you can expect that from your lender. And if you don't, then there are people you can talk to about that as well.
So go early.
Go early, definitely. They know if you've missed a payment, so don't be afraid. If you need somebody to sit alongside you and you're a bit worried, and when we get down to level 2 or level 1 or wherever we're heading, you could take someone like a financial mentor as a buddy just to sit beside you if you don't feel confident enough to do that on your own.
Okay, should you immediately try and extend your debt, get more debt? I mean, you're unlikely to get it waived.
Well, actually, we know you're not going to get it waived, but under the Responsible Lending Code, there are a few options that are available to your lender, and these are worth asking for. So you can ask for that holiday, that suspension of payment that we talked about with a mortgage. The same thing happens with loans. You could get your loan increased in term, so add on a few extra months at the end, so that reduces that weekly payment or that monthly payment again. You could get a combination of the two, so a little bit of a suspension of payment and an increase in term, if that's what you need, or you can do the interest only. So there are options there. Again, they have costs involved, but if it's what you need to do, then know that those are options there for you, and there's no harm in asking.
Okay, what's your policy on, because interest rates at the moment are just terrific. Obviously there could be a break fee. What's your policy on kind of trying to renegotiate?
You have to consider that break fee, don't you?
Yeah.
So you need to weigh up whether or not it's worth paying that break fee to get the better interest rate. But again, it's just about doing those calculations. It all depends if you're talking about $100 or $1,000 as well. What is that cost, and what will be that benefit?
Okay. Sounds like if I do get tight, I'm gonna head to the bank. I'm not going to be afraid of them.
Don't be afraid of them. They're just people like you and me. And they know their product really well. So they're well suited to talk to you about what they can do as their bank anyway. They can't tell you about other banks, but they will help you out if they can.
Cool. Now, Rachel asks, is now a good time to kind of lock your money into a term deposit, kind of keep it safe? Or is it better, having cash at hand?
Depends on what Rachel needs her money for. If she doesn't need it straight away, then putting it in a term deposit means that it stays there. The temptation's not there to use it anymore. So that can be quite a good tool to use. But if she needs it now, then I wouldn't lock it away. Okay. It just depends on what she needs it for.
I guess especially with interest rates low as well, you're not going to get much money back on you, much interest. Alrighty,
No, exactly.
Time now to talk about something very close to my heart. Right, they've been busy. Fraudsters, scamsters, crafty corporates, they're all still out there, and like you and I, they're pretty keen on getting some money too. What have you noticed in terms of scams during COVID-19?
There have been a few out there. Have you checked your spam folder in your email recently?
I have not. I tend to give it a wide berth. It's always chocker.
I hop on there every now and then just to make sure nothing's gone in there that shouldn't have. But there are some emails that are coming out, and it's important to be aware of them. There are quite a few that are pretending to be from the WHO. So just being aware of things like that. But not just emails. There's text messages. There's links being sent out over Facebook. And Yeah, there's a lot of things we need to be aware of. We need to have our wits about us, really.
Yeah, and I think also, as a host of Fair Go, you also need to be in touch with your, elderly relatives, your mums and dads, that sort of thing. Now's probably the time you start being a parent to them in terms of keeping an eye on what they're looking at, because they are very trustworthy.
You know what, they're not the only ones who fall for scams either. It's not just the elderly, it can be any one of us. If we're just not thinking quickly, if we're just thinking too quickly and we click on something, it looks good, it looks real, but we're missing those spelling mistakes, or we forgot to hover over the link to check that it was actually going to the website that it says. We're all busy people. And so it's very easy to miss these things. The Sorted group actually has what's called a little black book of scams and fraud, which you can order online or you can download it as a PDF. And it's got a bunch of resources in there which talk about the types of scams that New Zealanders are falling for. And it's heartbreaking, to be honest, but it just really widens your eyes about what is out there. For example, I didn't know that a .co.nz website is not necessarily a New Zealand website. So it can be overseas.
Yes, yeah, like I've fallen for that one too myself. NetSafe also, put my Fair Go hat on, a really good resource. I also find if you're a little bit suspicious, type in the name of the website and then type in scam as well and have a little Google search. Like do some research before you pump in your credit card number.
Definitely. A little bit of healthy skepticism is really important about now.
How do you feel about putting your credit card in and saving your details? Because it's so easy. You don't have to get your credit card out each time. It's all right there and you're off.
Well, I guess there's two hats for that one. One is to keep yourself safe online. It's probably best not to put your credit card information in there. But from a financial mentor point of view, if you don't put your credit card information in there, it creates an extra step when it comes to those online purchases. So it makes it a little bit more difficult. So maybe you'll stop and think about it as well. So two good reasons not to put your credit card information in and save it.
And look, the golden rule, if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. Unisha, you've been brilliant at this, but people are going to have questions at the end of this, and I know that you and your team are going to stay on around the One News Facebook page to answer specific questions, but just in general, if people are looking for more information, where should they go?
There's a few really good resources that people can check out. I've mentioned the Sorted website a few times and I can't say it enough. There are some fantastic tools on there and guides that are relevant to just now. So have a look at there. The COVID-19 website, also a fantastic resource. If you're looking for a financial mentor, then give Money Talks a ring. They're an independent group as well of about 200 different budget advice agencies around New Zealand. So they're really useful. You can talk anonymously as well if you're not too keen to share too much information. If you're a part of an employee assistance program, then along with counselling, you can also get financial mentoring there too. So there's a lot of places you can tap into. Community help. I mean, we know the likes of the Salvation Army and City Mission are out there helping with food, but other food banks. But if you need immediate help, don't be afraid to talk to your friends and family. Just keep that conversation going. How can we help each other in these times? Can we share resources? Can we merge bubbles? Can we support our family as they go back to work? So just keep that conversation going. It's all really important right now.
Unisha, thank you so much. From my fake lounge to your real one in Christchurch, thank you.
My real one.
Yeah, thank you so much for your time and your efforts and your wisdom. On behalf of all New Zealanders who are all a little worried about their finances, we say thank you.
No worries, thank you.
Very good. I am already feeling light and empowered. I'm ready to move ahead. The Sorted team, as I said, will be available on the One News Facebook to answer more of your questions. The takeaways for me before rushing into making any decisions: pause, sniff it up, take a breath. There are people out there available to help you make the right decision for you and your family. We really are all in this together. One News at 6, make sure you join the team there. But from behalf of all of us here down in Auckland, kia kaha New Zealand. Take care, stay safe.